excited to be here today with Maria Chase, the founder of Barre Collective. And I was thinking really hard about how to describe it because I don't really want to say a fitness studio. I don't really want to say a workout. I think you, from what I gather, you have built I guess I would call it a fitness community and a place in which everyone, in Los Angeles, it's a lot of women, which I love, feel like they're coming to strengthen every part of their body from the inside out, from the outside in. And I'm not like exaggerating or making some sort of pomp out of it, but that's how I feel, which is to me a huge part of preventive care and gaining the strength from all over your body, from your muscles to your brain to your insides, and doing it in a way that is really community building on top of it, which is almost like the icing on the cake. So with that, I'm really excited to talk to you and hear about how you started, where the journey started, and where you are now and where you want to go.
Well, thank you for that. I love hearing that because my goal with Barre and why I named it Barre Collective was really the idea of creating a collective space for everybody to feel safe and empowered through fitness. And my approach, I feel like, is very holistic in terms of the workout itself. We have very different workouts within the method, the ISO Barre and Barre 45, different approach to the body, different approach to muscles. And it just creates a really balanced physique ultimately. But I've heard that sentiment over and over and over from so many women, primarily because that's most of the people that are coming. But we do see more and more men. But just, that there's something so powerful in being in a room with 30 people moving in unison with your instructor. It's like an energy exchange. And everybody in that room is going through something uniquely in their mind, trying to push through because it's really hard, the workout. And you've got your instructor up there like leading the charge. That was always a pet peeve for me with workouts, when instructors would just walk around and cheer you on and not really participate in it.
Yeah.
For me, it was more motivating and it felt empowering to me too, because I think it's always an energy exchange. I'm giving and receiving at the same time. So I've heard similar sentiments like that over the years from women that just felt like this place of empowerment, happening for them. You just keep showing up, and it's like slowly but surely, day by day, it evolves. So that ultimately was one of the goals I had for creating a studio. I had been an instructor for years before I had my own space, and there was a lot of takeaways from that experience just in what I didn't want to create, and experiences that left me feeling not so great or not so welcomed as an instructor, and then also as just a member walking in the door. I think it's huge. I mean, fitness is already intimidating, and to feel like truly welcomed is my goal. I know I have people that will tell me that they spent a year watching us, like on Instagram, before they had the nerve to come into class.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know that's a big piece of it for a lot of people. And especially now with Instagram, so much of it is just little 3-second highlight reels. So it can feel really intimidating. But then you walk in the door and you see we have the full spectrum of people in there.
Yeah.
It's not all the 20-year-old influencers that are coming to take photos.
Or diehard like fitness people. Yeah. There seems all levels are in your classes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I really just wanted to do something different that I felt would be really, truly different and wasn't just about like trend and fluff. What we're doing in studio is science-based.
So start with that. Tell me, like, where did your world start with fitness? So how did you begin, and where did this, I guess even before where the idea brewed for Barre Collective, how did this happen? Like, how did you find yourself wanting to make this your world?
I have 2 children, 2 adult children now at this point. My daughter's 21. But when she was probably 3, I, like most women, I'm trying to get my body back in shape. And I remember it was such a pivotal moment. I was in my closet with her and I was trying on clothes and I was like, oh, I feel so fat. Or I said something like that. And I looked down and she was sitting on the floor watching me. And it just hit me that I didn't want to send that message to her. So something shifted then, and I really started to just focus on exercising and getting healthy and strong, or like in shape after babies. And like everyone, it was just, that was my motivation at that point. I wanted to set an example for her. And from that day on, she's never heard me say anything like that about myself. But I think just becoming a mom, first of all, and wanting to set an example, and the whole journey after pregnancy, wanting to get my body back, I started working out in my living room with my babies in the rocker. And then I gradually went into weight training. It wasn't very long. I joined a gym and I just started going. And
so what does that mean, weight training? And that in that time, what did weight
like
training
going
mean?
to a gym
And
just,
someone gave you a program, or you just sort
I
of
had a
started
personal
lifting?
trainer.
Okay.
I started with a personal trainer because I didn't know what to do. And there was a woman that at the time in Hawaii was the only pro bikini athlete in the IFBB, which is the professional league for bodybuilding.
Okay.
So in 2009, the bikini division was introduced to bodybuilding, which brought it a little bit like more to the mainstream, because before that, I mean, bodybuilding is very specific and it's, people aren't really tuned into it. But bikini was just super fit women. It was more like a tight hourglass shape. That was the look. And it was becoming what you saw in all the fitness magazines, like less celebrities, more bikini athletes. And so anyway, she saw me in the gym and she just came up to me and was like, have you ever competed? Like, you could do really well. And I had no idea what she was talking about. But she submitted some photos of me to her coaches, which at the time were the premier coaches for the industry. And they signed me and I did my first show 5 weeks later. And it was wild.
So tell me about, what was that mean? What's a bikini athlete show? What are you doing in that? Because I'm sure that there's lots of different things going through people's minds right now.
Yes.
But what does it mean?
Well, a traditional prep for a show is about 3 to 4 months. And you work with your coaches and they give you very detailed programs every week. And
Eating and
nutrition, like you're weighing all your food. It's very precise. And you break the body down, every day. You're really focused on a specific part. It's really about designing the physique. And what I learned through that process was really how to move the needle and just how valuable weights were and muscle is to the body. You've probably heard me say, muscle is our body's most valuable asset.
It's everything.
I truly believe it.
Yeah.
And weights are the fountain of youth. Like there's no way around it. So I did a really short prep to do this first show, but I went to Florida and competed, and I had entered 3 divisions and then I won them all.
That's awesome.
I was tripped out.
Were you surrounded by women that this was like their whole life?
Totally.
And they were just either really excited for you or really pissed that you came in and won?
Nobody knew who I was. I was like, it was in Florida and I was this girl that came from Hawaii. Nobody knew me. So I don't know if that worked in my advantage or what. I didn't really make a lot of friends during my time. Because I was always coming and then going. But after that experience, it was so far out of my comfort zone. At this point, I was a stay-at-home mom in Hawaii with 2 babies.
Yeah.
So after that experience, though, I was like, wow, this could be fun. Like I was interested in something that was so uncomfortable for me, because you're up there on a stage in a little sparkly bikini, basically showing off the physique that you built.
Yeah. You clearly have a build that this gal noticed and said, this will work for you. But did you look in the mirror sometimes and think, oh my God, I've really crafted and shaped my body in a way that maybe surprised you?
Absolutely. I was 35 at the time, so much older. I was competing against 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
But I think there's also something to that, because I think there's muscle maturity. You can get a little bit more sculpted definition. But at 35, I was in the best shape of my life. Way stronger, tighter, leaner than at 25.
Yeah.
For sure. And what I learned from that process was just like what weightlifting can do. If done properly, like it's not all weight sessions are created equally. There's a lot of workouts that swing weights around that I think create more inflammation than anything. What I ultimately did was took what I learned from my experience in bodybuilding and then all of the other certifications I've done from Pilates to Barre, TRX, you name it, and just cherry picked the things that I felt were most effective in the body and created my own method. But so after my time competing, I was burnt out because it's intense. And
How did you find balance during that time?
I did not. There was no balance.
Honest answer. Yeah. It's really hard to.
It's extreme. And that's why, fortunately, I went pro on my 4th show, which was really fast. I think the average athlete is in the novice, the NPC, for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Thank God, because I probably wouldn't have hung in there that long because it's mentally so intense. I would be on the treadmill at 10 p.m. like in tears.
God.
Like not wanting to do it.
Sounds horrible.
But it also taught me a lot about my determination and my own personal grit. And like when you make a commitment to yourself, like I was not gonna not follow through.
Yeah. Discipline.
And I knew that every other girl that was going to be on that stage with me was not following through. So that drove me. I think just in that time, I was able to really develop a strong sense of discipline. And it has definitely carried through to what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Building a business, creating a method, showing up every day for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's something interesting also when you historically think of women standing on stage in a bikini where you're competing about your physique. I think the sort of natural first reaction is, oh my God, that's so degrading to women. And I have such an opposite reaction because I think that the more in touch women are with their bodies, what they can do, where they should be, where you feel the best, and really feel the best. As you said, you were in the best shape of your life. And I know it was really hard. You're on the treadmill at 10 p.m. and burnt out. But I think you really feel the strength that you build. And to me, that's like the ultimate celebration of it. This is like you only get one body in your life. And you can certainly do lots of things medically to change it, but it doesn't really change like your skeleton structure and what you are born with. I remember, my mom used to say, like, you got that from me, and that's just is what it is. Do the best you're going to do with it. But I think that strength and that like core strength, like literally, is incredible. And this industry that celebrates it, I'm sure picks it apart, but encourages women to figure that out. I mean, to me, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I thought competing is so subjective because I look at every girl on the stage and their physiques are incredible. And we've all worked so hard. I mean, you get 20 minutes on a stage when the experience for us was 4 months of just dedication and sweat and tears and just working our butts off. But I mean, I thought the same thing at first, but it was ultimately so empowering for me because I had never done anything like that. And going into my first show, I had no expectations, no idea what to expect. And walking out of it, I felt completely empowered. And that was what I leaned into. Yeah. And just kept leaning into it.
Yeah. And then moving forward a little, how did you start Burn? Like lots of people have ideas and lots of people who, like myself, who work out all the time and have different workouts that I become totally obsessed is the wrong word. I become addicted to and I love and I do them all the time. I'm like, I could do this. I could start this studio. And I don't. But I think people have that. But few people do it and then expand. So how did that happen? What was it inside you that clicked that said, I'm going to do this? Like you said, I'm going to cherry pick all the best parts of all the things that I've learned and create my own fitness regimen or routine. But then you started it, like you made a physical location and you've never looked back, I'm assuming. So how'd that come to be?
When I finished my competition career, I wanted to do something that I could bring more to the average person.
Yeah.
That was more attainable. So I got some certifications and I started teaching some classes at a studio in Hawaii. And that was where I really just started to cultivate my own method and feel it out. It was a great testing ground. And really one thing led to another. It's always just been organic. From there, I built, a following of people that followed me from studio to studio. And then in 2019, like right at the end, I had been coming back and forth actually from here, LA to Hawaii, just kind of market researching, like, what are people doing here? What's cool? And at the time, it is still, but at the time, all the wellness or recovery studios were starting to trend. And I would go to like workouts that were just like mediocre. Mm-hmm. And then I would go to these recovery places. And that was where I got interested in the science behind red light and infrared heat. So I started researching that and loved it. I loved all the benefits, and science is science. It's not going to change. The technology will advance and improve, but the science, what it's doing to us on a cellular level, will always be the same.
Tell me a little bit more about that and how you then incorporated that into what you were building.
So I had this class, this method that was developing, and I was focused on just getting it to be more systematic. And at the same time, and I had so many people in Hawaii that wanted me to open a studio. And an opportunity came up and I started. It was right before the pandemic hit. So unfortunately, I was open for a month and a half and then we got shut down. But in that month and a half, we just flooded the doors. And so when we shut down, I went, like everybody else, I went onto Instagram and just started doing live workouts. I had a base of like local residents, members, and then I started to build a community of people online. But before that, so when I had this opportunity come up, I knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just open a studio. And I'm just such a science geek. I loved those two therapies. So I knew that that's what I wanted to put on a workout. I knew I wanted to keep developing my method. When I first opened, I had Burn 45 was my only class. And it's developed since there. But the pandemic was a blessing in a way, because the month and a half I was open, like our classes got waitlisted so fast. And at that time I was the only instructor teaching my class.
How many times a day were you teaching your class?
I was teaching maybe 12, or not 12 times a day, 12 times a week. 2 classes a day.
Okay.
But I had other instructors teaching different classes.
Okay.
Like sculpt and yoga.
Yeah.
But quickly I realized that like those classes were not filling up, and then my classes were.
Yeah.
And so when we got shut down, I was able to train a couple more girls, so that the next time we opened, I had 2 more instructors that could teach my method. And I did that twice over the pandemic. Each time we shut down, I trained more girls. So finally...
Because your class was different.
My class is different.
Right. Those other classes, you could probably... They were tweaks, but you could find them in other places. But your class was truly different.
Truly different. Yeah, sculpt. Like
yeah.
A lot of instructors were teaching sculpt and yoga.
Yeah.
But when we finally were able to reopen like for good, I had an opportunity come up to move studios again. So I moved into a brand new space, which was a really great location. So that helped with a whole team of instructors. And we opened the doors, and it was really just like opening the floodgates. And so Kahala, the studio I have in Hawaii, has just had an amazing first year and a half now. But I think the thing that it's like an intangible thing, but the 2 therapies that we have on our workouts.
To get into them, really be specific about what those are.
So we're doing LED, red, and blue light therapy and infrared heat. So there's a ton of hot yoga classes in town, all the cities, but I would say the majority of them are not infrared heat, which at this point I don't even know why. There's no science behind turning the heater on when there's so much science behind infrared heat.
Well, if you turn the heater on and you sweat a lot and you leave a class, you mentally think you worked hard because you're hot and sweaty.
Yes.
But it doesn't equate. It's not 1-to-1. So that actually doesn't mean anything, because you could stand outside on a really hot day and sweat a lot and be like, ooh, I worked out.
Yeah.
So it's not the same.
Yeah. Infrared heat is like 30% greater detoxification in sweat from infrared heat versus...
It's like inside out, I feel like.
It is.
I feel like infrared heat, you're literally sweating from the inside out as opposed to just like sweat dripping down your body.
Yeah. So regular heat is circulating hot air. So that's why you get that face full of hot air and it's so exhausting. Infrared heat, it's more subtle. Like when you walk into our studio, it doesn't really feel hot. And I know people coming for the first time are kind of like, this is it. This is as hot as it's going to get. But it sneaks up on you because it's heating your core temperature. So essentially what that's doing is simulating fever in the body, which is good. Fever is your body's natural process to spike the immune system to fight off whatever is attacking it. So anytime you're having a session in infrared heat, you're giving your immune system a boost. But it's also easier and gentler on the cardiovascular system. So that translates to being able to go harder longer. You're not dying from suffocation, so you can focus on the workout. And for us, our workouts are hard. We're lifting weight. It's a workout that's not traditionally done in heat.
Yeah.
In a gym, you probably wouldn't go into a gym and lift in heat.
No, most gyms are cold, actually.
Yeah, air conditioning.
A traditional gym is like cold. They want people to feel refreshed or something. Yeah. I don't know why they do it that way. But yeah, I walk into, like in a hotel gym, I'm always freezing. I don't use them very often, but when I do, I walk in freezing.
And once you start training in infrared heat, it's like you can't go back.
No.
You really cannot.
It doesn't feel good. I think it also, I know this isn't scientifically correct, but the way that infrared heat feels to heat up your muscles feels very different than a heated room. It feels like your muscles they warm up as your body is moving farther into the session.
Yes.
Does that make sense? And it does allow you to do more, like you said, but it just feels light and airy as opposed to like depressing and hot.
Energizing.
Exactly.
It's an energizing heat.
Yes.
It's not like walking
not
in
oppressive.
and you get punched in the face with a room full of hot air.
Yeah.
It's heating you from the inside out. So that's why when we're jumping around and then we stop is when your body starts to sweat and you feel the heat radiating out. That's why. But also we have LED red light.
Yeah, tell us all about
therapy,
those.
which I'm obsessed with. I love it. And I'm a testament to just the benefits. When I was teaching my classes for years before I opened my own studio and was able to train under red light, I was teaching maybe 6 classes a week max, and that was where I would tap out. And since I started teaching in the red light, I mean, I recover so much faster. Like, it's significant.
Yeah.
And up until I opened my doors, I didn't really know. The science was there, and I thought, okay, I think this is going to be really cool. But until I did it, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then it only took me about a month, and I was like, oh, this is something.
Yeah.
And
as a participant, you don't really think about it. It just happens. And then you leave, and then even later in the day or the next morning, it's a totally different feeling than if you had quote unquote, worked really hard during a workout, and then you just forget about it. I don't know. But training in your studio, you feel it throughout the day. And then you're like ready for the next one. There's no real, I can't drag myself there. My body's so exhausted. You don't feel that way.
red light, the main reason, there's so many benefits, but the big one for me, why I wanted to put it on a workout, is its cellular regeneration. It is significantly improving our rate of recovery, rate of healing. So any kind of injury, wound healing, inflammation in the body, the thing that you're probably feeling that you can't really see is how it's affecting hormones.
Yeah.
It's a big one. And especially for women.
Yeah.
It drops cortisol. It helps to raise serotonin. It helps to regulate the hunger hormones. It helps to balance circadian rhythms, which helps you to have improved sleep quality. There's so many things that are really subtle that most people go throughout their day not really knowing that they're feeling not great because of. until you start to improve it. And then you're feeling better all of a sudden. And
Yeah.
it's like, I wonder why.
That's why. And is there any ratio to the number of lights or amount of red light in your studio? Is it like a ratio of light to square footage that you were thinking about, or is it just getting them in there?
Yeah, it's not really.
Yeah.
Though our lights are the strongest on the market, that those light frequencies are penetrating through skin, connective tissue, muscle to your bone. Typically, when you have a red light session, like if you go to a recovery spa, you're going to lay in a bed or something, and it's going to be...
my facialist puts it over my face for 20 minutes. And I get so impatient, and I'm like, I really want to get out of here. And she's like, you have to sit here. It's really good for you.
Right. So our lights, if you were sitting that close to it, you'd probably do a 20-minute session.
Yeah,
but
max.
Because we're in there for an hour or more, the distance that we have are good. And they're pretty powerful. I've tested out with more lights in that room, and it's a bit much. You don't need more.
So do you think, this is solely for my own personal, when I come, but do you think it's better to be right under the lights, or does it matter?
I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
That room is lit up.
Yeah. It is. And when the lights go out, you really realize how much it's lit up. Like sometimes they go out for a second and you put them back on. You really feel like, oh, it was really light in here with this very different, interesting light than most people had ever experienced.
We did recently, I did just like a give back to our community. We did a red light crystal sound bath. And
In Hawaii or here?
Here.
Okay.
And it was for Valentine's Day.
Oh.
I did one in Hawaii, and I loved it so much. So I wanted to do one here. And when we're in class, we're moving, and there's a lot of energy, but having an experience in red light where you're still and crystal sound it's high vibrational, and you're really like in your body. But in that experience, you can really feel what the red light's doing on a cellular level. It's like a buzz.
Yeah.
It's like a cellular high.
It's awesome.
But you don't really get it when you're moving around so much, the subtlety of it.
No, but you do feel it later, like you said. You do subtly feel it in your circadian rhythm and in your energy level I do feel like I'm the oldest person in the room sometimes in those workouts, and I feel it in my skin. I do. I feel it. It's like such an added bonus boost that I've never gotten in any other studio or any other workout.
I'm usually the oldest one in the room.
We're the same age.
I'm definitely the oldest on my team. And I feel like since I've been in training in red light, like my 20-something-year-old trainers are trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like anything. If you are consistent, you're going to see the results.
Absolutely.
And so showing up and training every day in that, like even on the days off that I'm not training, I miss it.
Yeah. No, it's like addictive. I mean, it really is. It's in this amazing addiction. And it's funny. My younger brother, he's 7 years younger than I am, and he's lived this crazy life, and he was in the Navy and was with Navy SEALs and all this stuff. And I've been begging him to come with me. And he's like, I'm not coming to that. This is not for me. I'm like, just come. And he's like, why is it so hard? And I said, the hardest part is just holding 1 pound weights and doing these micro movements and really getting into those little muscles. And he was like, yeah, that's a killer. And this is someone was doing burpees in the sand at 4 a.m, being awoken like crazy. And he's like, that's the hardest thing. And I was like, yeah, and you're doing it in this incredible environment, and people around you are doing it. When you look in the mirror, it's like this army of mostly women doing the same movements like you were talking about at the beginning, this sort of incredible community and collective. And just keeping your arms up. And you always say, don't drop them, do it. And I'm always like, oh God, I have to for a second.
Yeah.
But it is incredible. And it's these like really amazing micro movements that with little weight, we talk about lifting weights, you don't even need to use that much weight to hone in on those muscles.
ISO arms will humble any guy.
I mean like that, like that.
Yeah.
I have older children. I have 3 boys. They're all these big teenage boys. One's 20. And I beg them, just work out with me. And they're like, oh my God, Mom, leave me alone. I'm like, you won't be able to do it. My husband's like, you guys will not be able to keep up with your mom. These are intense.
Oh, you will kick their butt.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is probably, they know that. And that's why they won't come with me.
Exactly.
But it's humbling and motivating at the same time, which is this really sweet spot that you've created.
The idea with ISO is it's isometric sequencing. It's like my version of Barre and Pilates, which were my first certifications, because I love something about that way to approach the muscle. And with that, we're coming up under the large muscles that we are training in Burn 45 with the heavier weights.
Yeah.
To really strengthen and lengthen. So the idea is we're creating tension in the muscle first, and then we're going into the movements.
Yeah.
Working our way strategically around and through different muscle groups without breaking tension, just like these super subtle micro shifts in the angles. It's so effective in just like tightening everything from the inside out.
Yeah.
And also it ultimately is so supportive to the larger muscles, the skeleton. So it will help to bring you a better alignment.
Yeah.
And it will help everything else, your strength with everything else.
Yeah. And it burns fat, which is what, you want, because fat's not good for us for so many different reasons. Everyone has some, but there's excess fat weight is really not good. And I'm not shaming anyone, but it's not good for women. It's what your cells, the bad cells in our body feed off of. And building that muscle and doing it in this way, I think is, like I spoke about at the beginning, it is really a crucial part of preventive care for women. It helps it from osteoporosis and all those other things, but also just really keeping those bad cells that we all carry around in our body at bay, because they don't feed off muscle mass the same way they do off fat in our body.
Yeah.
And that's some crucial
I
thing.
mean, a huge part of my mission is to reprogram women, because women are so programmed to be focused on cardio, to not want to lift weights because they're afraid that they're going to bulk up. Even just the idea of burning fat, well, first losing weight.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on that so much, I encourage people to think about just build muscle.
Yeah.
If you focus on building more muscle in your body, that muscle will burn more fat.
Yeah.
It will take care of itself.
Yeah, 100%.
Instead of restricting what you eat to hopefully lose some weight, that's not really going to do anything other than put your body into starvation mode and probably burn more muscle than anything.
Put you in a bad mood, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you about, just a tiny pivot, is so many people are in awe and enamored with Hawaii. And for lots of people, it's really far away. So lucky me, I grew up in LA, and Hawaii, even though it's far from Los Angeles, it's a close island. And I do believe it is magical. I believe all the islands in Hawaii, we were talking earlier, there's a couple I haven't been to. There's something in the air. I just have these, it is one of those burned in memories that my mom would say right when we landed. She'd be like, oh, I'm relaxed. I don't feel this way anywhere else. And it was, as a child, it was like so annoying to hear. It's like, all right, Mom, we know this. And as I grew up, I really started to understand it. And it's certainly when I went as an adult with young children, there's just this incredible mix of, I don't know if it's the humidity level and the flowers. It's just this magical place.
Yeah.
And you got to grow up there. And so just tell us a little bit about what that means to you, and if you think I'm crazy or if you agree with me or not.
No, I think Hawaii is such a special place. I mean, when I came here, it was definitely part of my mission to bring, we call it like the aloha spirit. But just that energy, it's so welcoming. It really is special. And it was something that I never experienced going into fitness studios here, that I really wanted to transcend from Hawaii to this studio. And I think we're doing it. Half of my team is from Hawaii.
Yeah.
We just gravitated to each other.
Yeah.
But
did they move with you from Hawaii, or they were in LA and
I
they happened
brought
to
one
be
instructor.
Okay.
I trained her in Hawaii and she came with me.
Okay.
And then 3 of my other instructors here were just referred to me by people in Hawaii when I was looking for trainers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a magical place to grow up, magical place to raise my kids.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful I was able to do that.
Yeah.
I grew up I've lived on the island of Oahu for the last 27 years, and you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cosmopolitan city. The most magical beaches are 10 minutes in either direction.
Yeah.
The hikes are absolutely insane. And then you have everything you would want from a city too.
Yeah. It's really special.
Yeah.
And it really is. It is. And there's so many special places in the world, and I've been fortunate to see a lot of them, but Hawaii holds such a just really, truly magical place in my heart. It's just a really different kind of special, I think, than other places around the world. So what's the future? If you're going to manifest your goals, you have to put them out there. You don't have to tell me everything, but what do you hope to see Barre Collective do in the next stage or next phase?
I came to LA because my goal is expansion. I definitely want to open more studios. I came here 6 months ago and I knew 3 people and I had an idea. I felt like intuitively, we could do something here. There was a little bit of a hole in the market, it seemed, but I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I also knew that this is a hard market. There's a lot of competition. And I mean, if I can make it here, I could probably make it anywhere.
Yeah.
But fast forward 6 months, our community has just blown my mind. Like, it's so incredibly special, truly. And I want to open more studios, first in LA, ultimately want to change people's lives.
Yeah.
That's the North Star for me.
Yeah.
And turn people on to fitness and health. Like, I've always preached that if you can really incorporate and establish a fitness lifestyle, that it will transcend to every other aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And you'll be so much healthier and, more successful in everything else that you do.
Yeah.
So turning people on to it, like we have such a hard workout, but I think it has to be fun. So like the energy you're getting from the instructors, the experience you're having in a studio has to be fun or you're not going to come back.
Yeah.
So that's a big goal for me, is to make it fun so people are hooked. The more obsessed or addicted they get, the healthier they're going to get. It's good for them.
Yeah.
So
the best kind of addiction. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have girls in Hawaii, young girls that, they're at the age where they go out and party all the time.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, first they would come to classes hungover.
God.
And realize they
and be like, great, I can sweat this out. No, not so much.
They started saying that, but realized that it doesn't work. They cannot. But slowly but surely, they started trading their nights out drinking because they wanted to go to Barre.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do Barre if I'm doing this. So they wouldn't do it. And I've watched so many girls really change their lifestyle.
It's amazing.
Because of going to class.
That's amazing.
I know.
That is a North Star.
Mind.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And I love to catch young girls because I tell them all the time. I mean, all my instructors are probably in their 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are so lucky to get so turned on to this early in life. You don't even know now.
Yeah.
But what this is doing for your future is huge.
It is. And I think it's great habits. It's being aware of having a self-awareness that's super healthy in the way of their body. And I know that's there's fine lines, and that's a tricky conversation with a lot of young girls. But this is the healthiest way to be in touch with your body, know when you're feeling off, know when you're feeling good, know when you're feeling strong, and that there's no better gift to give young women. There really isn't.
Yeah. I've worked with so many young women and girls in the course of my time with Barre that have really shifted the way that they look at themselves. And from coming in with complete eating disorders or fear of lifting weight because they don't want to bulk, to really understanding that healthy and strong is where you want to be.
Healthy is strong. Like, strong is healthy. It is. It is. And it helps you combat so many things that come your way. Being healthy and physically, mentally, emotionally, it's so linked, and it's the only way to get through life successfully and richly, as you were saying. And I think it does bring a level of success, true success, to you when you have that strength running through your core and your muscles and your bones. It's a different way to approach the world.
Totally. And I think what happens for a lot of people on the mat in class is truly like a personal experience of empowerment.
Yeah.
Like, I have had so many people over the years just blown away at what they're able to accomplish that they weren't able to a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many people will message me and be like, I want to come so bad, but I have to get in shape before I can come. I'm like, what? Come and we'll get you in shape.
Yeah.
But they don't have that trust or belief in themselves yet. And it's just like showing up and doing a little bit each time. But if you do show up, like those results are inevitable.
Yeah.
But what happens psychologically with that is huge.
It's huge.
Huge.
And learning what your body's capable of, I think is such an incredible moment that it's so personal. But and the younger you can learn that, the better. My body can do this. It's capable of it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I will keep doing it. That is magical.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. It's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for chatting. Thanks for bringing this to LA. So I have my new favorite
you.
workout that clearly I'm at every day. And I just love having you here. And I think listening to your whole journey and your whole story really makes sense of why you are doing this and why you are so successful at it. Because it comes, as you said, everything's happened organically and it feels that way. It feels that way to me.
Yeah. It feels that way to me. I definitely, in my purpose, I know that.
Yeah.
And I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how big the sky is for you. I think it's pretty enormous and pretty out there.
I hope so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is fun.
This was fun.